Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host, the expert Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 240. Hope you're amazing as always. I will say it, but I always mean it. Hope you're really good. And do you know what? I had a little meeting this morning. It was really cool. Civi, another shout out to you, mate. Another shout out to you. It's just to refresh your brain, a quick story. 1 year ago, Civi was in Russia driving to a temple, having a bit of a transition in business. It was crazy. I heard the full story this morning, which was pretty amazing, with the Philippines, and he's lived all over the world and been a high performer for a long, long time. But he was driving a year ago to I suppose a spiritual place in Russia where his girl's from. And on the way, they found my podcast. What was crazy was, a year to the day, I'd never met this guy, didn't know nothing about him. Someone posted a picture and tagged me in an NLP book. And yeah, the book was good. But what was better was then Civi was like, oh, man, the man himself. Awesome to connect. And then we just jumped on a call. And it's so nice. It's funny. You never know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to pick the phone up. You don't know what conversation you're going to have. You don't know what memory or idea is going to pop into your head that's going to take you in such a radically different direction. And so it doesn't matter how sad you are or what's going on in your life today. It really doesn't. At the end of the day, tomorrow's a different day. And that's a beautiful thing. This afternoon's a different day. After this podcast is a different day. Or what about being a different day right now? Because the thing is, when we start to look at the world a different way, we feel a different way. And if we feel a different way, then our perspective on life is a very different way. This is the ability to be able to change your emotion in the moment. And then guess what? Your belief changes towards what you're about to do. Your attitude, your drive, your passion, your motivation towards it completely radically changes. It's a very different concept to a lot of people teach, as they teach to disengage the emotion. So if you're thinking about a memory from the past, then going back to that emotion or that memory and sitting inside, it's going to cause a lot of problems. And that's what normal therapists, psychologists, things like that, and coaches do. They'll sit you back in a memory. But the challenge with sitting you back in a memory, if you understand how the brain works, the neurology, it's a mind muscle. So you're going to pump a muscle that what we don't want. It's going to have a perspective and a belief and a chemical release of what we don't want. So when we change the emotion and drive the emotion, the neurology and the chemicals go with it. Okay? So very, very different, which is why I love meeting new people, because it changes me. This morning was stressful. Guess what? It's okay, because you meet someone and then they light you up and your perspective shifts and then you start to move forwards. That's how things are. You can do it all yourself through books and audios and awesome podcasts like this, but that's what you've got to do. And that's one of the reasons I created that previous episode, 239, which is why knowing how to switch on your creative brain can make you millions. Because it can. And what did it say about creatives? Yeah, we're constantly in polarity. There's highs and lows, and we see the darkness and we see the light. But that's what allows us to be, think outside the box and have a different perspective on stuff. And that's truly what high performers are, and that's what creatives are, and that's why we're able to help change the world, plain and simple. If you haven't listened to that episode, go and check it out. I know you'll love it. And definitely go and check out The Science is Shocked as Emotions Shape Our Reality. That's episode 238. Both of those are kind of linked together. They really are. Definitely got a science flavor, definitely got a little spiritual flavor going on, but definitely pretty awesome. And speaking of awesome, let's talk about today's episode. Today's episode, do you know what? I might have played this before. It's a training, but do you know what? So many different people have so many different coaching styles. So many different coaching styles and so many different ways that they help people. And remember, we're all just about helping people. Everyone's got different flavors. Everyone likes different people and things like that. So I made this training a while ago for the Facebook incubator group, and it's pretty cool because someone was asking me, why is Mindset by Design different? Why are you different? And it's hard to put 17 years of knowledge and wisdom into 45 minutes, but hey, I want to show a little bit different because what I wanted to show you is the true meaning behind Mindset by Design. And Mindset by Design is obviously the main company, and then we have spin-offs. And I'm working on something which is absolutely radical right now, a mentor program. It's mind-blowing. It's really mind-blowing. It's going to be over 6 months, and I'm putting that together right now. So really keep your ears and eyes and bananas peeled, because this is going to be a complete game changer for anyone who wants to really get over that dip and bounce back and blow up their business and lives. And anyway, that's for another time. But today what I wanted to cover is the true meaning behind Mindset by Design, the neuroscience difference, I should say, why yoga is only the first step, and or you could call that meditation is the first step, the power of brainwaves, and really becoming a world-class performer. Those are the 5 key points, and I could go on to another 100 points. But really, what we're trying to do here is show you that talk therapy is just talk therapy. Business coaching is just business coaching. If we do not go into the brain and retrain how it responds, you will never, ever get exactly the level of performance and level of success that you really deserve and know inside. Plain and simple. And that's what I wanted to show you a little bit of the difference in here. We go into lots of different concepts. If you want to watch it actually on video, I'm going to put the link to the YouTube video because, I recorded it all. It's a video training. So I wanted to make sure that you have access to that so you can rewatch it if you chose to. Also, it might be nice to actually see me on video, because I bet a lot of you don't even know me face to face, do you? Right? You bet you don't. I bet it's all audio. And hey, I'm a different character in real life, I'm not just a voice. So come and check that out too. And there's so many videos out there now. I'm going to put another YouTube video on there, which is actually a 30-minute mini movie that I created, which I think is epic, and I think it's awesome, and I think you should watch it. So I'm going to put both of those 2 links on there so you can check the training out, check the little mini movie out, and what else? You head over to those show notes as well for, guess what? I'm taking 2 people on this month. I've taken 1 person on, so you might be the other. And if you want mentoring, if you want to grow your business, if you want to sort your brain out in every capacity, then hey, let's connect. I've done it with tens of thousands of people, the best in the world. And anyone who's got an idea, it's simple. All I require is this one thing. I want you in, passionate, going after the future. And even though you might be in a dark place right now, imagine if we could let that go and you'd have the tools to never, ever be there again. And all that your focus was on future, forwards, right? Making money, success, helping people. And you were able to be in control of your mind, emotions, that peak state, therefore your results, anytime, any place, no matter what the pressure. Do you think that might help? Damn right it'd help. And that's why we need to have a chat. I said take 2 people on a month if they're a right fit. And that could be you. So check those show notes out and make sure that you're heading to the incubator group on Facebook, finding me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and all over the place. So let's jump into this training. We're going to look at the true meaning of Mindset by Design, neuroscience, why meditation and yoga is only the first step, and it is, and I meditate every day, by the way, but it is only the first step. Power of brainwaves, and really what the difference is between what I do and 99% of people out there, and why I get results and they generally don't. So, and then the 5th one is becoming a world-class performer. So much love. I will see you at the end of the show. So welcome everybody. Here we are at World Class Performer 101, and I called it that. And I called it the World Class Performer rather than Mindset by Design or the 8-Figure Thinker, because that's what we're all about, right? We're all about world-class performance in this brand, and I want to share with you some of the basics, the foundation that I really built the brand off, and also the concept around all of my coaching and the 8-Figure Thinker course and the world-class performer, audios and the videos and stuff. And I just wanted to share with you more of an understanding, okay? So as you start to understand the brand more, it's going to make you understand that there is a vast difference with Mindset by Design than probably 99% of mindset brands out there. For the simple fact, everyone really just focuses on the things that are very common in personal development, about let's do some meditation, let's just be happy, let's focus on this. And all of that's great stuff. But the challenge with it is, it doesn't really create change, right? I'm not saying meditation doesn't, but it's part of the puzzle. So what I want to show you today is really where my brain thinks about when I created this brand, when I work with coaching clients, why I create results that truly people can't. And if you've worked with me inside of Nitro Group, if you've worked with me privately, if you've worked inside of the World Class Performer Mastermind, then what you're going to learn is that I do things a little different. So why don't I share my screen and then we will jump in. Hopefully everybody can see this. I am going to press play here. And away we go. So hopefully that records okay and it puts my box over there. I don't know. But there I am sitting there in San Diego. If you want to know what that photo is all about, that was taken by a buddy of mine, Nick Onken. And gotta love Nick. Just recording an episode on the podcast, and definitely go and check Nick out. But anyway, let's get into it. So World Class Performer 101, okay? The foundation, the basics, the real fundamentals that you should understand about really creating change. And people don't really talk about this because people don't really understand this. And I want to give you more information in the next probably 20 minutes than most companies or most people even talk about. So let's jump in. Because the point with Mindset by Design is this. It was born with a burning desire and obsession and a clear direction and purpose to create laser focus, right? Create laser focus and create world-class mental performance. So whether you're a futurist like Elon Musk or a creative genius like Richard Branson, well, both of them are pretty creative, right? Both of them are pretty geniuses. But everyone has such a unique strategy of how they see the world. And when you start to understand that everyone has such a unique version of reality, because what happened is this. Every time we're born, okay, not every time, but when we're born, our mind is like a blank canvas. Now, we can talk about epigenetics and different stuff, but let's just imagine that things are like a blank canvas in your brain. So every time you have an experience, whether it's good or whether it's bad, it doesn't matter. A path is formed. A piece of software is there. And the challenge with this is we make a decision about what's happened, and the neural nets just want to complete. That's how the brain works. This then integrates into our nervous system and becomes what? A habit, right? So your view of the world has been created from billions of experiences and billions of decisions that's made you see the world a certain way. That's why they say the rich get richer. Well, yeah, they get taught a certain model of the world. That's why you often get world champion athletes, right? And world champion athletes have brilliant kids, right? Brilliant kids, not just in maybe sports, but they get taught a certain model of the world that then, well, yeah, they know how to perform. So with Mindset by Design and everything that I do, it's all about this. It's all about building a version of you scientifically, so you then can perform at your world-class best. Make sense? Good. So here at Mindset by Design, we are constantly asking the question, how can someone do that skill? Do you hear what I said? How? The why is important, but it's a later thing. Everyone starts with the why. I don't start with the why. I start with the how. Because when we're doing modeling or this type of design, right? Mindset by design. So I want to know how. Because the why could be, I want to change the world. Well, that's cool. You might want to change the world too. But how are you doing that? How are you thinking? How are you feeling? And how are you acting? What are their beliefs around money, stress, performance? You get the idea. So everyone's a very unique version of them. And what I want you to understand is how somebody does that. So with the podcast, that was my whole intention. Whole intention with the podcast was for that one reason. It was to show you glimpses of people's brains so you can then learn how they do something. Does that make sense? So this curiosity is what completely drives me. And I look for the most cutting-edge systems to really create, well, world-class performance. Like it? I bet you didn't even know that was about the brand, right? And you've listened to all of those podcasts and you've listened to me rant on, but that's what's behind the brand. So this is why this is one-on-one world-class performer. So this is what I used to think of coaching many, many years ago now. I've been doing this game for 17 years with brain and sales and everything else. But if you're a life coach, please, please, please understand. That's what I thought it was. And nothing wrong with life coaching, but it's definitely not what I do, okay? I'm not helping out people with their lives. I'm helping out people perform like they never even knew they could or never even knew they dreamt about at such a level inside of their business that, yeah, suddenly their life in the business takes off. What I don't do is sit down and be all gentle and, no, let's go, let's go. That's what creates results, which is why this is what we're talking about. High performance, okay? So when we're talking about high performance, I treat everyone as this. And I've taught this for years. I believe as entrepreneurs and people in general, we are like high performing vehicles. You need maintenance, you need tuning up. And because you're a high performance vehicle, it doesn't matter how fast the Ferrari can go, or these are muscle cars, but hey, whatever, right? It doesn't matter how fast it can go. If you don't put maintenance into it, if you don't fine tune it, the car breaks down. So you could be the best athlete in the world, but if you don't maintain it, the machine breaks down. For entrepreneurs, this is our machine, right? And if we don't understand how to fine tune this, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, doing specific routines each day, and really getting into understanding that we can tweak and change memories and how to unlock your performance, then guess what happens? Yeah, your car or your mind, the vehicle breaks down. Make sense? So understand that. Here on Mindset by Design, we are about world-class performance and 8-figure thinking. Why? Because you are a high-performance vehicle. Like it? Good. So how we do things different is this. There's many different layers to this, but I'll just give you the first 3, okay? Neural retraining. What the heck's that? Well, that's my systems, right? It's how to neurally, right, the brain, the mind muscle, how to retrain it to respond how we want to. What the heck does that mean? I want you to think about your business in abundance. I want you to think about money instead of with resistance, with absolute determination of flow. I want you to think about that sales call with laser focus and confidence. So when we're able to retrain the way you think, not by going, think positive, step into state, that's for other people who really don't know what they're doing and are selling snake oil, as they call it, right? They're selling air. What I'm interested in is true results. So again, if you've ever worked with me or been around me or gone through the 8-Figure Thinker or groups, you're going to know this already. But what I call neuro retraining is it's like the manual and the mechanics, okay? That's how I'm able to rewire, retrain patterns of behavior, habits, focuses, beliefs really, really fast, okay? And then the other side that I love is all about the brand and myself. It's neuroscience, right? I spoke to lots of doctors around this topic and all the rest of it. I've interviewed neuroscientists. And to me, neuroscience is beautiful because it's finally caught up and showing through ECG scanners and really just cutting edge, brilliant scientists. It's showing how the brain and body is connected. It's showing how the brain is constantly rewiring and the neurochemical cocktails that are getting produced and how it affects our decision making, how it affects our motivation, our drive, our energy levels. And so to me, that's the maths. That's the evidence, okay? That's the evidence to back all the things I've been doing for 17 years. But 17 years ago, this stuff wasn't available to you, okay? But now it is, which is pretty cool. And speaking of 17 years, well, let me take a little sip of my tea. Green tea in there. Gotta love it. So, real world experience and wisdom. I've been through, I don't know if you know my story. I'll give it you very quickly to 1 minute. I promise if you heard it 100 times. But I left when I was 24. I left the UK. Within inside of 6 months, I became one of the top performers in Australia in sales. And that's where I learned neuro-linguistic programming. And that was my foundation, okay? That completely changed my life. And then from there, we got headhunted to New Zealand, where I became the top performer in New Zealand in real estate investment, in sales. And there was no one else touching me. And back then, I got bored. I was 27 years old. And I decided to get with somebody, business partner, and develop a $100 million project of Fiji Resort. And there's all stories behind this. Massive highs, massive lows, massive highs. And I went through bankruptcy, nervous breakdown, and lost everything. And if you want to hear more about that, there's the information somewhere. But the truth is that taught me so much. Being one of the top performers in 2 different countries, then playing on a world-class level. We took that project over to Dubai. We were selling it down next to the Palms, Dubai Land. I met the Sheikh, all of these things. We went to even buy our private island, and it was crazy thinking back. And that taught me a lot because I lost everything. I lost everything. I lost houses, partners, investments, and was basically living in the MMA gym, training and fighting every day. And that was fun, but it's not too much fun when you can't afford to eat or pay your rent. But that's where I shifted. And that's what gave me the wisdom, because that's when I basically built my career and my profile in LA. And yeah, I was working with all entrepreneurs, world-class, world champion athletes and fighters. And that took me into working with royalty and Hollywood and all of this other stuff. So the reason I say that is the past 12, 13 years is about building my career and my reputation to be one of the top in the world for mental performance because of the wisdom. And I've worked with trauma victims, post-traumatic stress disorder. I've worked with help everyone. So that gives me such a unique perspective on the world. Remember, bubble of the world, right? That I'm able to relate to everybody who comes to me for every single thing. And then we can work, obviously, and expand that business. But when you understand the world a certain way, I'm able to give such knowledge. It's not airy-fairy personal development, regurgitated BS. No, it comes from true world-class knowledge. So what that does for you is it gets rid of all the fluff and it gives you exactly how we create world-class performance. Makes sense? Good. So your neuroscience behind it. Let me explain what neuroscience actually means, okay? The term neuroscience, pretty obvious, but refers to the scientific study of the nervous system. The word is derived from a combination of the word neuron and nerve and science. Surprising, right? But neuroscience concerns all scientific aspects of the nervous system, including molecular, cellular, functional, and structural elements, as well as the evolutionary, medical, and computural aspects. For example, do we need to go through this? It's development of the biological function, the actual connection of the brain. So when we're able to rewire your thinking, what's actually happening in the brain is we're connecting new synapse connections, which connects new chemicals, which tells every cell and fiber in the body to respond a different way. This increases your focus, your motivation, your drive, your energy. But it also increases something else. And that is the ability to create change. And that's a study around neuroplasticity, which I'm not going to go into today. But what that means is that the brain is completely malleable and is constantly wanting to change and adapt. That's how human beings have survived. It's through the nervous system or the neurology adapting to its environment. So that's neuroscience, right? So it doesn't matter where you are, we can completely change it. It doesn't matter where you are financially. It doesn't matter if you're stuck in your business to scale it. It doesn't matter if you've been a world-class performer and then you've dipped off. The truth is, I can really show you how to respond a different way, and really, it doesn't matter where you are, we completely move you over to where you want to get to. And we do that fast because the brain constantly wants to adapt, okay? So neuroscience has been proven that the brain has neuroplasticity, meaning it rewires and grows when trained to do so. So a way to explain this, and the way I've explained this for a long, long time, and I love this example, I love it, right? I came up with this example years ago, and it's like looking at an NBA player, or it could be whatever, right? What we're looking at is them personally. They do physical training, looking at the outside, right, the muscles, but they do physical training to make their muscles fire and respond a very predetermined way, okay? This is fast twitch, right? And comparing that to a strong man, right, or the world's strongest man who's lifting massive, massive weights for long periods of time. So one's fast twitch, reacts fast, the other one's slow and steady, right? And lifting extreme weights. Well, what's the difference? Well, they're both human, right? They both have muscles. The difference is one's potentially born with fast twitch and different type of muscles. But besides that, they're trained to respond a certain way. Understand that? So when you take that concept into the brain, we have to understand that the specific type of training or rewiring that we do in the brain, what it does is it allows you to, well, think, feel, and act a certain way, but also scale your thinking, which scales your business. Does that make sense? Because somebody who's earning 7 figures does not think like someone who's earning 5 figures. Now, if you're earning 5 figures, you might look at that and go, well, what's the difference? They're just earning money. It's not the truth. They are looking at the world a completely different way. Their expectation, their focus, their discipline, their team building, their communication, everything is very unique that goes into creating that result. So it's not just a case of like, oh, we have to earn money. No. You could be running an Amazon business now, trading Forex. You could be starting an online course or online business in anything. It doesn't matter. I've probably worked with one of the top leaders in your industry and helped them. So what I'm saying is you could have any business model or system. It works. Awesome. But the thing that's going to stop you from creating that level of performance or results or money that you want or helping as many people as you can is you. It's what's wired and pre-trained in here. It's how the muscles are connected in your brain and how they respond. Does that make sense? I hope so. So Then in like for the 8-figure thinker, for example, and I truly believe the 8-figure thinker is the most cutting edge, in-depth mental performance training system that exists on earth. I'll put that against anything that's out there. It's incredible. And if you've never seen the free training around it, then you probably should, right? So I had this element in called gamification. Gamification is the use of game thinking or game mechanics. And what that means is that it's like all the apps that you're on, okay, well, the gamify. It hooks you in and it makes it a brilliant learning experience, right? So improve the user's engagement, physical exercise, return on investment, data quality, or just being involved in the learning experience. That's what you want, right? So a review on research on gamification shows that a majority of studies find positive effects from this concept. So what that does is it teaches you how to train this way, way faster, okay? I do this even with the groups I run or the masterminds I run or the nitro groups, coaching. I do it with all of this. If you're watching this and you're involved with that, you probably don't even know I'm doing it, but I'm doing it, right? Knuckles, you remember this? Right. It's gamification and also another concept of anchoring. But when we put all this together, it starts to create a very different experience for the user, but it starts to create a very different experience for you because it's like nothing else that's out there. And then what we do, making sense so far? I know I'm flying through this, right? Maybe I need to have a couple little sip of tea again and we need to slow this down. But is that making sense so far, right? So we train the brain a certain way. You're going to respond a certain way. So I want you to understand about this, the conscious and unconscious mind, okay? So this bit drives me crazy. I want to see just the next slide. Okay, so this bit drives me crazy. If you're a therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or a normal coach, this is cool. I'm happy that you're doing your thing, right? I'm happy that you're doing your thing. I've got full respect and I love you. But there's something you probably need to know. And that is the conscious mind. They use it for talk therapy. And I could talk to you all day long. And unless I'm using very specific language patterns and I'm really guiding you visually, even while talking to you, not in trance, not in hypnosis, not in anything like that, but just me talking to you, then what it does is we're guiding the brain through certain states, through certain emotions. And what that means is then consciously we can start to create some change or some perspective changes, right? But the truth is with the conscious mind, I need to give you something else. I need to give you a toolbox. And the toolbox is designed to change your focus. It's to be able to walk through that self-talk and make it powerful. It's to be able to change your emotion in the moment. It's been designed to be able to change and step into a different peak state in the moment. That's what your conscious mind is for, right? Well, that's the way I teach it, because that's about performance. Otherwise, what we're doing is we're talking about the past again and again and again and again. Oh, doesn't it get boring? Right. Instead, I want to show you how to get control of your mind so you can then change who you are in the moment and step up and perform. Does that make sense? Do you see the radical difference? And when we're introducing everything that I've taught you already, and remember, I'm just giving you little glimpses. But when you get this, everything changes. Because what we need to know is how to use both of these, conscious, unconscious, okay? Now, the unconscious could be called the subconscious, the automatic system, but there's other words for it, and we'll get into it. So the conscious mind, I've just explained, right? So the unconscious mind is, well, it's the automatic bit of your mind. So let me explain about that, right? And I'll go into more definitions around it. But think about what you're doing automatically. Okay? Yes, habits. Yes, things like that. But what are you doing automatically? Why'd you stop at a red stoplight? Because that's what you're supposed to do. I get that's what you're supposed to do. But why'd you do it at 5 o'clock in the morning when there's 0 cars around? Right? It's just automatic. If I went to put my hand out and shake it, what you gonna do? You're gonna shake it. So when you start to understand the unconscious part of your mind is the software, okay? It's the mind muscle. It's also what I call the body mind. The bit of your mind that blinks you, breathes you, affects your lymph system, your adrenal glands, your heart rate, your micro muscles on your face, your neurochemical cocktails that are pumping through your brain. Yes, it's your nervous system. And what we're doing through everything that I've explained very briefly, I'm just giving you 0.01%, but what I'm showing you is that we're training the nervous system to respond a certain way or a different way, right? And that includes a different way from the past, okay? We still got to go back and change the past and change those memories. Of course we do. But we've also got to focus on building the future even more. Because when you build the future even more and we lean in and we're closing deals and we're getting results, then this builds a different version of us. That means this version becomes very easy to delete or clean up the past weights, okay? So very different what I do to, well, everybody else. Because everybody else, I don't know, I've just seen tens of thousands of people. And I love everyone's systems and everyone's different. This is just the way I do it. And I've been very lucky to work with a lot of different people and have a lot of experience. And the truth, man, I'm my own biggest experiment. This game goes on for me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It really, really does. So what we got to get access to is the unconscious mind, right? Conscious, unconscious. Okay, so what we got to look at is different ways to do it. And talk about hypnosis. I call it trance or installation. Call it whatever you want. We're playing with brainwave frequencies, okay? So I'll talk about more of that in a second. But what this does is hypnosis will, well, it's simply taking the body and mind into a state of relaxation. This allows you to focus on the internal world rather than the external world. Make sense? The internal world is where we create. The external world is what we experience. Create, experience. We can't experience the outside world that we want without designing, mindset by design, the internal. Make sense? And you all know that. If you're watching this, it's for a reason, right? So ways to do this, well, guess what? Pre-programmed audio is like everything that I've got out there, okay? There's a lot of stuff out there, and I'll show you a little bit more later. But that's one way of being able to get into the software. The other way is what the yogis have been doing for thousands of years, okay? What they do is go into breath work, and what that does is goes internal, okay? Go more into the science around that another time. But the truth is, it works. But the challenge is they don't know how to pre-design the neurology, right? To make us think, feel, and act a certain way. It's great for calming you down. It's great for resetting the nervous system. It's brilliant. And it's also great for changing brainwaves, which we'll get into. Nature. Yeah, I love it, right? The frequency of nature. And everything is vibration. And it's a whole different topic, where I mix Eastern and science, and yeah, it's a whole different topic anyway. But nature is like it's a default setting tuning fork. Bing! It resets us. So it allows us to be calm so we can go inside, okay? But let's keep going. Because you've got to know your brain waves. You do. You have to know your brain waves. We've got beta, alpha, delta, theta, gamma, okay? So beta is what you're bouncing around in all day long, okay? Now, we've got different levels of beta, and it means different things, okay? We'll talk about it for another time. But beta means you're awake, normal, alert, and conscious. handy if you're conscious when you're walking around. Although most people aren't conscious, they're completely entranced and they're doing what they're told by society, and they're doing what they're told by their boss, and they're doing what they're told by the news, and they're doing what they're told by the media, and they're doing what they're told now by social media. At least social media is wow, they're controlling that now, aren't they? It sounds like a conspiracist, but it's not. It's just what's happening with algorithms. And the idea is to, even online, is to create your own world, right? So they're just letting you see what you want to see. And you probably understand that, right? So what we're trying to drop the brain into through different methods, like I've just explained, is alpha. Now, we can go into delta, theta for different reasons, but alpha gives us access to the software. What's the software, Andy? Just told you. The unconscious mind, right? Your nervous system, the visual component in your brain, the memories, the way you think about the future, the past, money, success, your beliefs about yourself, right? How you value yourself. All of these are contained inside the software. We can't get access to the software because there's a wall in between. I'll go into it another time. But there's like a wall in between. That's why you can say affirmations all day long, but do they create real, true change? Well, no, they don't. They will after a long period of time of deep repetition where it hammers through this wall and goes into the unconscious. Affirmations and things like that are fantastic for in the moment changing your emotion. And that's another conversation when we start talking about actual states and peak states and alter egos and all things like that. But just for this one concept, what we want is the alpha, okay? That's where you're physically and mentally relaxed, awake but drowsy, okay? That's the daydream state. That's the meditation state. And when we're in that place and we start playing with the visuals, and the visuals can get very, very technical, like very, very technical. People don't realize, like the 64 components that make up a memory. Okay, and we change the components of a memory, it changes the encoding of the brain. That's a little bit different to probably what you're used to hearing, isn't it? Right, but it's the truth that people just don't know things at that level. So the effectiveness of hypnosis, okay, the effectiveness of hypnosis, and you can change the words to meditation, guided meditation. But again, guided meditation is great, but there's levels of the game. If you visualize, brilliant. Keep doing it. But understand, there's levels of sport, right? You go from amateur to semi-pro to pro and then to a world-class level. Well, it's the same with being able to program this. You can just by doing visualization, it's great, but it's an amateur level. Then we can go up in detail. So psychoanalysis, just on this was by the American Health Study, by American Health Magazine. And what they looked at was psychoanalysis. And they looked at 38% recovery after 600 sessions. Now, 38% recovery is still pretty damn good, to be honest, right? If you're getting over stuff. But 600 sessions, whoo, how long is that going to take you, right? How long? That means a session every single day for 2 years, right? But you ain't going to be doing a session every day. So it's like a 10-year process. We've got behavior therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, right? It's great. 72% recovery after 22 sessions. That's still pretty damn good, right? But when we look at hypnotherapy, or let's get rid of the word hypnotherapy, right? When we look at being able to go into the software and really retrain it at a high level, then we're looking at 93% recovery after 6 sessions. Might seem like a dramatic claim, but the truth is I've worked with abuse victims, rape victims. I've worked with people getting ready on TV sets. I've worked with people collapsing that no one else could fix them. These are all the extremes. We're not talking about performance stuff. We're not talking about making that world-class trade, or we're not talking about doing that business merger, or we're not talking about dealing with high-pressure performance in sales. I'm talking about recovery. But I've been able to help those abuse victims in 1 or 2 sessions. Now, am I doing something magic? Well, Kind of. No, I'm not. I'm not doing something magic. I just know where to press. I just know what to do. And we're dealing with the software, remember? So hypnotherapy is you're able to go so deep into that. Now, hypnotherapy is great, but it's, again, it's kind of cheesy. There's a lot of cheeseball stuff in it. So we've got to take things to a whole new level, okay? We've got to use brainwave frequency. So 93% after six sessions. Pretty epic, pretty epic. So you're starting to learn the importance of mindset by design. You're starting to get it? Good. Because let's talk about a little of the brain, just very, very briefly. And there's many components of the brain, obviously. And I'm not a neuroscientist. But there's lots of components of the brain that I focus on. And the three here are some of the most important for my area of expertise. And that's the executive state, or the prefrontal cortex, the prefrontal lobes, the emotional state, which is the limbic system, and the survival state, which is the brain stem. Okay? So those three areas is what I like to really, really focus on, because I find for what I do, that creates real, true, well, change, you know? So now, the hindbrain, or what people call the reptilian brain, and I've spoken to neuroscientists about that, and they don't call it the reptilian brain. I put it in there because that's what a lot of people refer to it as. That's the fight or flight response, right? The amygdala response. So that's instincts. That's where the brainstem is the oldest part of the brain, or the nervous system. So what that means is that it's in a constant survival state. And when we're activating that part of the survival state all the time, then it causes massive problems in performance, especially when we're going to a world-class level. Limbic system, that's pure emotions. And if we're reacting constantly and we're activating the amygdala, then we're getting a limbic response. The limbic response is where the emotions are constantly being triggered. And this can then get in a loop and cause massive problems. The neocortex is basically like the CEO of the brain. It tries and puts it into logic. What is going on here? It's also where we're using internal dialogue and self-talk. And that's how I really rewire people's thinking, is a lot through automatic self-talk. Whole conversations another time. Remember, there's a free training which goes into it way deeper than this. So is that making sense? Clear as mud? Making sense? But you start to see how this starts to link together, right? Making sense now? Gotcha. So I'm just refreshing your brain. We got to keep refreshing your brain. So I want you to understand where a lot of this comes from. And I want you to understand that, remember I said at the start, the brain is like a blank canvas and we're building and we have billions of experiences. Well, maybe you want to take your notepad and pen right now. I'm doing a lot of this today. I know what that's about. Take your notepad and pen or stop thinking about this. 0 to 7 is the imprint stage. This is the blueprint, the foundation of our brain. And if you've had trauma as a kid, or you've been around extreme circumstances, or it causes massive effects for the rest of your life unless we really do some deep change now. And the thing about that is, this is where your money patterns come from, your expectations about life, stress, anger. It all can come from this blueprint stage. So think about that in your own life. Think about that in your own life when you're thinking about your stress levels. Do you get angry? What's your belief around money? It's coming from a lot of it here, which is crazy, right? So the other thing is modeling. Now, 7 to 14, think about that age group. What are you doing? Yeah, you're watching TV, you're hanging around with people, and you're starting to look at, who am I modeling? Modeling meaning, who am I copying? Okay? So who are you copying back then? Well, for me, it was Bruce Lee, Jean-Claude Van Damme, it was Jackie Chan. It was all people like that. I was obsessed with martial arts, especially at 7 to 14, obsessed with martial arts. Oh, I'm 14 to 21. Oh, and yeah, I'm still obsessed. So modeling can really change everything. If you for these days, if you were obsessed with Harry Potter from 7 to 14 and all you did all day was watch Harry Potter, then you're going to start to look at the world a very different way. You might look at it as magic, right? And anything's possible. Do you see the difference? So then we move on to the socialization period. And this is where we start to form groups. Think about this, right? Hang around with the bad boys, right? Hang around with the nerds or the jocks, or you get the idea, right? So when we start to look at these periods of our life, it starts to paint a picture when we start to understand about the brain now. Makes sense? So then we move to the career period or the business persona. And this is about 21 to 35, but again, it's all rough numbers. Don't ever believe stats. Stats are just a study that got made famous. It doesn't mean it's the correct information, but what it does give us is a general screenshot, right? A snapshot of what's going on. And 21 to 35, well, you might not get in business till you're 40, right? So what does that mean? But these are the signs. This is the science. So 21 to 35, it's where we start looking at career modeling and business persona and who we're going to be like. Well, these days, it's amazing because the kids getting old, right? The kids these days are getting this business persona very, very early. So they're getting it around the socialization period, or they're getting it around the modeling period. That's why you're getting these young kids coming through. They're doing amazing things. It's because they're showing this stuff such at an early age. That's why I say don't look at stats, because all of this has changed depending on the culture, right? So I just want you to stop paying attention to those things and thought maybe you're getting a few ahas, right? The point is with all of this stuff, right? Let's just go back over it, right? Let's go back over it very quickly. So when we start to understand, that's why I create the business. It's not that, right? You see the difference? Right. It's this, high performance. When we start to build the neuro-retraining, which is my system, neuroscience experience, when we start to understand about gamification, when we start to understand about the conscious, unconscious mind, and when we start to understand that things are automatic and we're retraining the nervous system, and there's different ways to get access to the software, and we're understanding brain waves, and we're understanding actually what creates true results fast. And we're understanding the different parts of the brain. And we're understanding where all this developed from. Then what this is all about in business is what I love to do. That's why I brought this together. It doesn't matter what level of the game you are at. If you're launching a product, if you're an online marketer, if you're in finance, if you're in sports, if you are under high pressure performance, if you're dealing with acquisitions and business mergers and forex trading, and it goes on, it doesn't matter. The thing that's going to help you scale your performance and your business and your life is the things that I've gone through. But we have to get your nervous system ready to what? Yes, to get used to the unknown, get used to the next stage. Remember, 5-figure things different to a 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure, 10-figure person. It's all levels. And people below can't understand what the next level is. In quantum physics, they call that flat world or flat plane, right? And what that means is like, you can look at a dog's world, but a dog can't look at your world. Let's explain it like that. And that's the same with business growth. Now, I've looked in tens of thousands of people's brains. I've worked with some of the top people in the world who are running $400, $500 million businesses, royalty, people who are world champion athletes, putting people on TV sets. I've worked with just everyone you can imagine, the top in the world in internet marketing, network marketing, finance. It goes on. And what I know for sure is that when we start rewiring things, the level of the performance goes up, and I don't need to tell anyone about how to do their business. Makes sense? The business is their business. But when we can get you used to it inside of your brain and your nervous system used to it, you go into something called flow state. And when we're in flow state, it means that we start to become magnetic. opportunities just appear. It's like we're seeing the matrix. And when we can start to see the matrix, then that habit starts to build for the future. And this is how we create rapid acceleration and results. Like it? Good. That's your world-class performer 101. Okay? So now you understand it. So what's your mission of the year? What is it? Pure honesty. What do you want? Right? Because if you understand that all of this is possible and we've got to rewire the brain, what is it you want? What is it you want in 6 months, 12 months? What is it you want in 10 years? What is it you want today? What's your mission? And if you don't have clarity, if you're confused about the systems, if you're trying to move out of you're trying to scale your business and you're trying to move into your correct role, if you're just trying to get a product launched, if you're trying to, whatever it is, if you've dipped in performance, but what's your mission of the year? Maybe you're making some notes. Maybe you're making some notes. That's a hint, right? Make some notes. I'll give you like 10 seconds. Make those notes and start to unlock and start to imagine what's possible. Because that's how we create your life. That's how we get the money that you want. That's how we build you into the superhuman version of you, or what I call the 8-figure thinker. Okay? Could be 9 figures, 10 figures, 11, I don't know. The point is, 8-figure thinking sees the world a certain way. And if you saw that version of you right now, and you stepped through their eyes and looked at your current situation, doesn't it seem simple to be able to make a different decision? Right? Exactly.
Okay, crew, the end of episode 240. Hopefully you got something good out of that. I listened to it back myself. There's a lot more I could have added and taken away and changed. But hey, gives you a little understanding, doesn't it? Gives you a little understanding. And speaking of understanding, make sure that you're hitting those show notes up. And if that or any of what I've gone on about today resonated with you and you are ready to step up and really make this business work, life work, if you're in that place in your brain and you need it fine-tuned like every single entrepreneur in the world does, and you're ready for that, let's go and put some rocket fuel on that. Let's tune it up like the damn Matrix and let's make you the best version of you that you ever thought was possible. I know, guaranteed fact, you could give me Elon Musk and I'll make him way better at performance and giving him control of his mind, emotions, that peak state, and therefore even more kick-ass results. And if that's you, click on that link, let's connect, and let's have a chat and see if we can find a right fit for you. Until then, much, much love, and oh yeah, one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?